Is learning ASL like learning a whole new language?
ASL is its own language with its own grammar, its own
Just grammar? Oh
vocabulary.
goodness, I'm gonna suck at that.
Yeah, it is its own language. It's completely different from English. A lot of people think it's the same because American Sign Language, obviously the spoken language is English, but it's its own language. You've got a lot to
I
learn.
think so. I really think I'm gonna have to learn.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, babies in their diapers, welcome to the Tiberius Show with your host, Tiberius Boy.
That's me, Tiberius.
And welcome to the Tiberius Show today, and I'm your host, Tiberius Boy. And as always, we're looking at various jobs and how they affect the world around us. Today's case is going to be very interesting. We're going to talk to an American Sign Language interpreter. Do you have any idea what an ASL interpreter does? Well, I think she just waves her hands around a lot, but you know what? Let's just talk to this lady and find out for sure. Let me introduce our next guest, the one, the only, the amazing Alexa Triska.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for being on the show.
No problem.
Okay, so I understand that we will be diving into the world of communication without words. So Alexa, can you explain exactly what does an ASL interpreter do?
An ASL interpreter bridges the gap between communication that a hearing person might have with a deaf person. And my job specifically is for telecommunications. So if a deaf person wanted to make a phone call to a hearing person, I'm that bridge in the middle, that gap that allows them to conversate with each other. So usually you'll have like a company or a business call their video phone, and when they answer it, they see me pop up on the screen, and I'm immediately just signing what I'm hearing so that they can see what's going on with the conversation, and whatever they want to speak to the hearing person on the phone back, I respond for them, and we just keep going until the conversation ends.
Huh. So this is like a learned skill. Did you grow up learning ASL or did you decide you wanted to learn it?
So I grew up with deaf parents. Both my mom and my dad are deaf. And we call that a CODA in the deaf community, so child of a deaf adult. And that was honestly like my first language that I learned before I even could speak. Baby sign language is a very common thing that a lot of people love to teach their kids because you can figure out if they're hungry or they need their diaper changed or they're tired before they even learn spoken language. But that was my first language. And then I moved on to eventually learning Spanish. My family's Puerto Rican, so I learned that. And then afterwards, to get into school, I needed to learn English. So technically, I've got 3 languages under my belt.
Huh. So why did you decide being an interpreter was the job for you?
So honestly, I think this is a very common thing that gets pushed on to kids that grow up like me. I think every deaf parent ends up telling their kid, you should be an interpreter. And I was very against it growing up because I wanted to, I wanted to go pursue like art or my interests. Like maybe I wanted to be a psychologist, or I wanted to see where things ended up, and I felt like sign language might have been like the easiest cop out. So typical like, no, dad, I don't want to. No, mom, leave me alone. But, eventually as I got older, I realized like, this is a legitimate career path. And I've always been wanting to be of assistance and help to a lot of people, and because the deaf community is so tightly knit in my personal life, I wanted to be able to give to that community. And knowing how much help is needed, it's a very, very in-demand career, just because, there's so many people and obviously not enough interpreters. So I wanted to join and make a difference.
Well, is it a good paying job? Because, I mean, you did say it was a cop-out. So, I mean, is it a good paying job?
It is good paying. I would say when you start out, depending on what industry you go for, VRS is the industry I work for, so that's video relay service. And there's other, so in-person interpreting is called community interpreting. That is like gig-based. You pick your jobs as you go, and you create your own schedule. So it's nice, but everything can potentially be priced differently. They look for a certain skill set. So if you're just starting out, I would say for me, hopping into the VRS industry, I think depending on your skill, it might vary, but usually I want to say it's probably like $20-$25 an hour starting out. And you start getting your credentials. Ooh. You can go to school, get certificates, do ITPs, interpreter training programs. And I know there's plenty of interpreters doing this for like 10 plus years that have so many credits, and they've been interpreting for like the government or healthcare.
That's big.
And they make good money, like 6 figures usually.
That's a good job then. Well, do you have to be there in person, or can you also do video?
So for my job specifically, it's remote. I'm at a desk at a shared office space, but usually there's satellite centers or just call centers, and you have like your little backdrop in the back, and you have your desk,
the green screen with like the space background and stuff,
and you have like your software, and you've got your webcam. And I think most VRS interpreters actually work from home, so that is an option as well. And
okay. That was also one of our questions. You can work from home, so that's good.
You can work from home. It's a remote job. You're never actually in front of someone while you're interpreting in VRS. It's specifically just for phone calls.
Okay. Alexa, please turn off the studio lights. Oh, wait. Sorry. Old habits. But, so all kidding aside, is learning ASL like learning a whole new language?
ASL is its own language with its own grammar, its own vocabulary.
Grammar? Oh, goodness. I'm going to suck at that.
Yeah, it is its own language. It's completely different from English. A lot of people think it's the same because American Sign Language, obviously the spoken language is English, but it's its own language. You've got a lot to learn.
I think so. I really think I'm going to have to learn. But is it different if you're like in a different country?
Yes. So every country, they have a different spoken language. So pretty much any language you can think of has its own variation of sign language.
So interpreting kind of feels like you're acting in a way. Do you ever feel like you're performing on stage?
Not on stage necessarily, but a big part of my job actually is to be able to really explain and invoke what emotion the person on the phone might be having, just the tone of their voice. I have to indicate that on my face. Like, is the caller angry? Is the caller sad? Is the caller happy? It has to match my face so the deaf user can see me and go, oh, okay, so I can respond appropriately. If they're angry, I'll be angry back, or if they're sad, I'll ask what's wrong. And I have to do that both ways. So I'm actually playing 2 roles at the same time.
Oh, wow. That must be tough.
It's tough.
So how do you handle interpreting for someone who's speaking really fast or uses a lot of slang or bad words?
So that's the more fun part of my job. We are completely unfiltered. We cannot censor, we cannot barrier their ability to communicate what they want to say to that person. We are just a phone. So I've had some very crazy conversations, things that I would never say to someone out loud. And I had to unfiltered say that to the person on the phone and deal with the repercussions of what it might have been said. So
you had to say it if the deaf person wanted to say it.
Absolutely.
Ouch. So if the deaf people are like speaking really fast, I mean, does it kind of look like anime jujitsu or something?
My husband makes that joke a lot. Yes, it can look kind of crazy, I guess. I don't really think of it too deep because, like I said, it's my first language, so it's so natural
You're
to
used to
me.
it.
But I have heard from an outside perspective that it does look intense.
So, have you ever been working and someone says something so funny that you laugh and as well maybe break character?
So close so many times. I literally can't because of my job, though. I mean, we're human. I don't think I would get in trouble, but I take my job very seriously, so thankfully only the deaf person can see me. But if I hear something really funny over the phone, like, I'm definitely showing it on my face.
I mean, that's just like a comedian. You're on site and it's like making fun of like the something really funny, and you're like trying to do it, but only like the deaf person can see you. And it's so funny.
Exactly.
So, what is one thing you think kids should know about being an ASL interpreter?
I think kids that are very interested in learning something that'll take them a whole lifetime and find that exciting definitely should consider being a sign language interpreter. It requires up-to-date learning of vocabulary, of slang, and language is always changing. What something means now could mean something completely different 20 years later, and that's something you have to be aware of. And personally, I've noticed that I get super bored of a job that I end up learning everything about super quick and become a little bit too good. And this is the one job that I find that I will never be the best interpreter, and that's actually exciting to me. So I think if there are kids out there that want a job that they won't get super bored of, I think this is for you.
So, can you sign to our viewers? Now, here seems like a good time to go a quick commercial break. Let's hear a word from our sponsors.
So you want to make an ad for your company, right?
Yeah, Tiberius, you want to help me?
Okay, so what's the name of the company?
PPWND.
PP what?
Professional Pressure Washing and Detailing.
So you like clean driveways?
Yeah, like that. We pressure wash commercial buildings and semi-truck and trailers.
So how would someone get a hold of you?
They can visit my site at ppwnd.com or call me at 407-900-7793.
So I just tell them to call you at 407-900-7793 or visit ppwnd.com?
Yeah, Tiberius, you got it.
Cut! That's a wrap! Just use that!
Oak Ridge Gun Range is a family-oriented shooting range that has been in business for over 30 years. They specialize in basic firearm training and offer numerous services such as consignments, gun trades, gunsmithing, and concealed weapon classes. I even got my training for gun safety at Oak Ridge Gun Range. Great customer service, and firearm safety is what they do best. So find out more at oakridgegunrange.com.
And we're back here talking with Alexa Triska, an ASL interpreter who worked at a daycare resort, made coffee as a barista, sold fun stuff, and helped in art classes? That's a lot. Well, you've done a lot. So, what's the most fun, and why did you keep changing what you were doing?
Well, like I said before, I feel like once I hit a peak of I kind of have experienced everything this job has to offer, I get bored. And I want to find something, the next interest, and hop onto that and then learn something new all over again. And then the cycle kept repeating pretty often. But I would say that the most interesting one definitely was being an art teacher's assistant. I did that for over 10 years. So right after I left that school, I came right back and volunteered. And then the teacher started offering to pay me and make that my first job. And, it was just awesome being around like the new generation of kids going to that school and being able to kind of give them like the tips and tricks that I kind of learned along the way. And I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I got a lot of awards at that school, and they were very proud of me. I was one of the elites of the art class over there. So she definitely wanted me to come back. She wanted me to teach her students what I know, and I love art in general. So that is my passion aside from what I do for work.
So, because my name is not a common name, can you sign the Tiberius Show and let us know how that works?
Sure. Tiberius Show.
Huh. That's different. I didn't know. Did you do how, like, is Tiberius just like the finger signing?
Yep. So Tiberius SHOW.
And then the is just
You could say the. It's a title. So you would finger spell all of it. But I don't know if you know this. I don't know if you did any research. But typically in the deaf community, if you're integrated, if you know a few deaf people, usually they'll get tired of finger spelling your name all the time. So there's something called a sign name, and it's a name unique to you. It's usually about a feature you have, or like a gesture or a quirk you might have. It usually starts with like the first letter of your name. So I don't want to give it to you because I'm not deaf, and I don't want to be disrespectful. But, you know, usually like maybe your hat. You know, you could have a T going across for the hat. I'm not going to sign that to you, though. Like I said before, I don't want to be disrespectful. But, like, my name, I have curly hair, so it's Alexa. It's been Alexa like that my whole life. And I guess, you know, for the Tiberius Show, if you wanted it to be, like, a whole full sign aside from finger spelling, then I guess it would be, like, and then whatever your sign name is, and then, like, I think it's, like, this is literally show. But yeah.
So what's the process for getting certified as an ASL interpreter?
So for ASL certification, usually people have to go to take courses in school or go to an interpretation training program. But since I grew up as a CODA, there's a lot of programs, there's a lot of companies out there that recognize people like me, and they'll offer position, usually with like a quiz or two to see like where my skills are at.
Yeah.
But that's like a free ride into these jobs usually. Wow. So it is really nice.
That's nice.
Mm-hmm.
So do you have to study for different types of interpreting, like medical or legal?
Absolutely. So just as anybody would have to study and go to school for law to understand it and understand the vocabulary and how a courtroom setting works, same thing goes for an interpreter, but I would argue that it's double the work because now you're learning what these words mean, what you do with these words, and then you're learning what the sign is for it, and you're having to explain to the deaf person through sign language what it is. So it's pretty in-depth.
So do you ever work with other interpreters as a team?
So teaming in interpretation is a thing. It's very important. Because I think it was like a rule, remember when it was made, but you can't interpret for longer than I think 20 minutes or 2 hours for yourself, and that's where teaming comes into play. So I know in person, if you have an assignment, they'll usually send you someone else to support you if you're there for more than 2 hours, so you can switch for breaks, or sometimes there's multiple speakers. So that's definitely important. In my job, though, all I have to do is press a button and someone hidden shows up and we kind of know what's going on during the call. And if I'm kind of struggling with a concept or like I'm like, oops, I forgot that word or I don't know that word, they'll just sign it to me or tell me and I'm like, oh, okay. And then it's completely smooth.
Huh. Nice.
Yeah.
So do you ever run into a time where you had to change what someone said to soften a bad comment or remove a negative emotion from the conversation?
So that's kind of a sticky situation because in my setting, we're actually not supposed to do that at all. We have to be as literal and to the exact of what that person is trying to say as we possibly can. However, there's something called cultural mediation, and that is basically being able to make this conversation sound as natural as possible. Since it is two different languages, sometimes things don't overlap or come together as smoothly because it's not in the same language. Yeah. And, you know, there's things that people don't understand about deaf culture or a slang that they wouldn't understand. So in that moment, it's my job to be like, ooh, I gotta figure out like how to explain this the best way possible in a way that they would understand. So I guess the best example would be like, you know, over the phone, if the person doesn't answer, you're like, hey, do you want to leave a voicemail? Or you'll hear the voicemail answering machine, and obviously for them it's not voicemail. It's a video mail. But if I say that to them, they're like, "What is going on? Video mail, huh?" So I have to do my best to sound like an answering machine. And sometimes people think I'm not a human being, and that's a whole nother story. But so
I mean, you have the voice for it. I mean,
so you switch terms like that to kind of just help make it sound easier to understand, so that there's not that whole gap of like, what is this? What are we doing right now? I thought I was on the phone with such and such, but yeah.
No, you were not. So, do you have a favorite ASL joke or pun?
Ooh.
Sit up for this one.
Ooh, you know what's so funny too? I found a new favorite recently, and now I have to remember. Oh gosh, how does it go again? I think it was like a deaf man goes to a train station, and he notices that the barricades are still closed, so he can't get through. So he goes to another station, same thing is happening, and then at the final station, he goes up to the desk teller, and they can't communicate because he's deaf. So he gives him a piece of paper, he writes it down, and I forget the pun. Oh my god.
Is that it's in Braille?
No. Instead of like English, he writes it like how you would say it in ASL, and it makes no sense. But if you sign it, it makes sense. And I'm trying to remember what it specifically was, and I ruined the whole joke. Oh god. I need caffeine.
Well, what is the current demand for like ASL interpreters today?
ASL interpreters are always in demand, and they will always be in demand. There's not ever going to be a shortage of people. So to meet all of the people that need that help, it's going to be in demand for a long, long time, I would say.
As long as there's still wars going on, you'll know there's always be deaf people.
Exactly.
So, how can schools be more accommodating to students who are deaf and hard of hearing?
That is a great question.
So I'm asking you.
I would probably say I don't have a lot of education when it comes to, or background experience when it comes to educational interpreting. I feel like an educational interpreter would be more insightful about that sort of thing. But I would say, obviously being able to give the deaf students an interpreter for their class, making sure that interpreter has like a very visible space where they can stand and be present. I know that's a requirement in educational interpretation as well. And I think I've heard about some colleges having like designated like note takers sometimes, so that if case the interpreter missed something, or there was like a pause where they didn't really understand, there's always like that backup of having like the notes written for you. And I think there's actually probably so much more cool stuff that goes into accommodations for education that I have no idea about.
So, Alexa, what's the most misunderstood part about your work?
I would say the most misunderstood part about my job is definitely being mistaken for a robot. It is very, very awkward having to start, a phone conversation, and instead of the person kind of like getting it, which, I don't blame anybody. Not everyone has had the experience of calling a video phone, knowing how it works, and obviously there's a first time for everything. So hopefully the next time they won't make the mistake thinking I'm just a random robot and hearing them try to press a button over and over again to skip my dialogue or something. But yeah, we get mistaken for robots or answering machines a lot, and a lot of people don't realize that we're real people listening to what's going on.
So is it a lot easier to like take scam calls? Because like you can just like Hi there. You've tried reaching this person, but they're not available right now. Would you like to leave a video mail?
We don't even get to that point. It's really fun to hear them get really confused.
Like, huh?
Yeah, most of the time I get hung up on, but yeah.
So why can't they just use closed captioning?
So the issue with closed captioning is that it's not actually their source language. Not all deaf people grow up learning English grammar, knowing English at all. And if ASL is their first language, then that's not really being shown to them with closed captioning. Obviously, with people that they know multiple languages, they can understand and read English. That's perfectly fine. But in terms of complete understanding, then they would need to have ASL be shown on the screen, and that's more effective than closed captioning.
So, I mean, you kind of explained about like emotions and stuff, right? So, can you yell at me for a second? Like how do you yell in sign language?
What do you want me to say?
I don't know, like better keep on doing the questions, right? Or else, like might lose your job.
Make sure you keep doing the right thing. Make sure you ask the right questions. Don't waste my time.
That's a good one. Oh, so it's just like signing bigger, right?
You sign bigger.
Okay.
Small signing is considered more professional. Unless you're on a stage, then the rules completely change.
So what's the best advice that you've ever received? And who gave you that advice?
Advice for what?
Anything.
Anything at
Life
all.
advice, car advice. I mean, life advice. I mean, anything.
I think, a lot with all the different jobs that I've done, I get... Sorry. With all of the different jobs I've done, I think I get into my head a lot. And I'm so hyper-focused on making sure that I am the perfect employee. I'm doing the right thing at all times. I'm being the best that I can be. And with this job, I really started out that same way. I'm like, this is the career path I finally decided I wanted to go on. I got to do everything right. And even though this is the way that I grew up, I'm still second guessing myself and thinking like maybe I'm not cut out for this, even though this is my first language. And, it took a mentor to really pull me to the side and be like, dude, you grew up doing this stuff. Just because the people that you're in class with right now went to school for this for like 5 years doesn't mean you're worse than them. If anything, you've got more going on. Like, you're fine. You're on an even playing field. If not, you've got the advantage of living this your whole life. And just being told finally that, like, this is made for you. Like, this is you. There's nothing that can take that away from you. Just be yourself, I guess, is the best advice I've gotten, So,
what's the most fun thing you could say on a kid's show, or that you've ever done while doing your work?
The funnest thing? Man, I get such boring calls all the time.
Or funniest thing.
Huh?
Or funniest thing.
I've got, like, the memory of a chipmunk. I'm so sorry. I cannot. I know that every day is special. I will say that. You'll have a bunch of conversations that you just don't expect, and there's so many calls in like a day that it's impossible to remember like what the funniest thing that happened is.
So why would a kid want to grow up and do your job?
That's a very good question. If you notice that you're always wanting to be of service, of help in some way, then I think this is a really good job to consider. You're always going to be able to help someone that really needs that communication. Communication's a basic need and right for all of us. And, if you want to feel good about helping, this job is really nice.
Well, on that note, let's take a quick break to pay some bills that are not in Braille.
The Tiberius Show would like to thank one of their dedicated sponsors, Custom Designs Orlando. These guys are on Mills Avenue and do all sorts of stuff, ranging from photo ID badges, engraved signs, custom braille ADA signs, vinyl lettering to trophies and awards. The cool part about Custom Designs is they can ship products all over the United States. You can reach them at 407-898-0373 and tell them that
Tiberius
sent you.
Over 40 years, Lighthouse Central Florida has provided education, independent life skills, and job training to thousands of Central Floridians who live with blindness or any degree of vision loss. Whether it's picking out clothes in the morning or just moving around your community and serving Orange, Seminole, and Osceola counties, contact Lighthouse Central Florida at 407-898-2483 or visit them online at lighthousecfl.org.
And we're back with Alexa Triska, interpreter of the ASL variety. So, Alexa, what's the one thing you wish everybody knew about ASL?
That ASL and English aren't the same thing. It really, really hurts to hear and not cringe when people are like, oh, well, can't we just pass notes to each other? Can't I just write this down? Can't we do this, and that? And it's just like, you're not going to get understood, buddy. It's not the same. And then a very common thing that happens too is, we'll try to make a doctor's appointment, and obviously I need an interpreter for my doctor's appointment or else I'm not going to know what the heck's going on. And it's very common for those appointments that are pretty simple doctor's visits usually to get pushed out months and months and months because someone forgot to get the interpreter, or someone thought
you
maybe
were the client.
maybe there's something called a virtual interpretation. That's when the hospitals, I don't know if you've ever seen them with the screens. Yep. And what if you have really bad Wi-Fi? It's not gonna work. So stuff like that, it's like an interpreter is very, very important.
Gotta pay the bills.
Yeah, I wish people really, really took that into consideration, but of course not everybody knows. I get it, but educate yourself.
So how can people start learning sign language?
There's a lot of resources online. There's language learning apps you can try there. There's YouTube, but be very careful when you're seeking sources from YouTube because it's very prevalent that non-deaf people, hearing people will try to get clout off of YouTube for a language that's not native to them. So try to look out for deaf content creators, learn from them. They're the best place to learn from. They're more accurate and you won't get in trouble if someone teaches you the wrong sign. But definitely check out online courses. You can start there. Of course, I'm always going to recommend you try to learn from other deaf people. I know that's not always an option for people in person, but get involved in a local deaf community by checking out events. I'm sure there's a lot of workshops throughout the year that you can show up to and learn. And Google's your best friend.
So what's your dream interpreting assignment?
My dream interpreting assignment, that's really interesting. Honestly, I've thought about this a couple of times. I know that I don't want to say never, but I would love to.
We're good. We're still good.
I would love to be able to interpret for an elementary school art class. I feel like that would bring me so much joy and kind of full circle back to kind of how I started with my first job, being an art teacher's assistant, but being able to do what I'm currently doing and kind of mix in the things I love. Definitely have thought about educational interpreting a couple of times, but that's a lot of credentials I don't have.
So what have you learned about yourself that you wish that you knew earlier?
Oh, I need you to say that again. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Okay. 3, 2.
So, what have you learned about yourself that you wish that you knew earlier?
I feel like I really like undercutted myself with what my level was at, especially at the beginning. Obviously, I've improved so much. The longer you do something, the more you'll get good at it. But I really did not believe that I could interpret. Like, I was not at the right level. And there sometimes are clients that I have that, we're just not a good fit. And I remember that would like really get under my skin because I'm doing my best, my absolute best to kind of like switch around, like try to get them to understand. But the problem is like me in the moment. Like it's just we're not on the same wavelength, and someone else probably would be able to explain to them better. And that's part of the job, like you need to understand where to cut your losses and go like, okay, I'm not being able to communicate this effectively enough, and I'm kind of just adding on to the confusion and they're lost. So it's time to transfer this out to a different interpreter. And yeah, that just feels really bad in the moment, feeling like, oh, I'm not the right fit. I'm not, you get into your head sometimes. It's very common. You're like, I'm not good at my job. Like maybe this isn't where I belong. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this. But then you finally like meet that other client that like you just click, in the way like you sign to each other is exactly the same. They completely get it. You get them. It goes so good, and you're like, dang, I love my job.
So, do you play any video games? And if so, what's your favorite one?
I used to play a lot of video games.
So, used to, that means you did, right? So,
yeah.
What'd you play?
So I want to say right off the bat, my favorite game is Animal Crossing. I grew up playing like the very first one, and I know it kind of exploded and became a big thing circa COVID. So, but I'm waiting on the next one to come out. Maybe I'll start playing games again, but
And that's going to be on the Switch too. Oh goodness, hope it's
I
not
hope
overpriced.
so.
So, what's the biggest mistake that you've ever made, and how did it change you as a person?
The biggest mistake I've ever made, there has been a good number of like really like, why did I do that kind of whoopsies that
Like you messed up a sign or something?
Yeah, that happens a lot. Like I think the most recent one, I had to sign, I think it was North Miami Beach, and it was like, okay, North Miami, got it, like we're in Florida, no big deal. But then I was like,
beach.
Oh, beach, I forget beach. So I was doing North Miami Beach, and in my head I'm like, yeah, water crashing, yep, makes sense, like duh. And I'm also like mouthing it, so I'm like, they got it, they're fine. And at the end of our call, the guy goes like, hey, interpreter, what's your sign for beach? And I go like, beach? And he goes like, interesting, that's magic. And I was like, oh, oh, okay, what's the sign for beach for you? And he's just like, it's beach. Have a good day. And I'm like, okay.
Okay. Now, can you tell me that one story? Remember, this is a kid's show. That one story, that you're not supposed to tell me about. Come on, you can tell me.
Well, like I said before, there's so many different things that go on that it's so hard for me to remember, and I promise you, crazy things happen every single day. I think if I wanted to dig into my memory, I couldn't even. And like I'm trying not to sound like I'm kind of just skating along the question, because like I'm not joking when I say like I'm at the desk for like 8 hours on average, and that's about like 300 calls. So like that's a lot of conversations that
That's a lot.
I can't remember even if I wanted to.
Wow, that's a lot. Okay. So is there anything else you think my listeners should know about you and what you do?
I don't know. Is there anything that I kind of haven't said that you still have like questions about?
No, I ain't got none.
I'm drawing blanks too. Like I said before, like if you're looking for something that'll keep you interested and engaged, something that, you can't really disconnect from and kind of zone out, like you are locked in when you're interpreting. You have to hear what's being said, think in your brain, how am I going to execute this, make sure that it's coming out the way that it needs to, and doing it all over again in reverse. And that can go on for hours. I've done 2-hour long calls, and it's definitely intense. And conference calls.
Oh goodness.
I popped my shoulder out of socket doing a conference call, and I had to clock out early.
That's not good.
So it's engaging. It's engaging.
Okay. Well, do you have a Facebook or a website for my listeners who want to follow you?
I don't. I'm not on social media, unfortunately.
Okay. So what is that one question that you think I forgot to ask you?
You didn't ask me what day it was.
What day is it?
I don't know.
Well, on the day that this is going to be posted, it will be Wednesday. But for your information, it is Friday. So, thank you, Alexa Triska, for being my special guest. Can you stick around for Math Corners?
Sure.
Aw, Dad, my computer's slow again and I can't play my games.
Call Your Computer Solutions today, and we will scan for viruses and clean that computer up remotely and make it fast again. Our phone number is 407-826-0810.
Thanks, Dad. My computer's fast again. Now I can do my homework. Thanks for calling Your Computer Solutions at 407-826-0810.
Tiberius' favorite subject, it's Math Corners!
And now it's time for Math Corners. Thank you so much, Alexa, for helping me with Math Corners. This week, we're just more multi-step word problems. My dad is always good at finding new problems for me to solve, and today, we're going to talk about an ASL interpreter. So you might be good at this one. Okay? Alexa is an ASL interpreter who works at 3 different events during the week. On Monday, she worked for 2.5 hours, and on Wednesday, she worked for 3.75 hours, and Friday, she worked 4.25 hours. If she earns $22.50 per hour, how much total money did she earn for the week? And what was her average number of hours worked per day over the 3 days?
Am I supposed to answer that?
Nah, it's good. I gotcha. Well, first is the real world problem because you do have to keep track of time and to ensure that you're paid correctly. But really, who only works 3 days a week? I mean, we will move forward, but just for math's sake. So first, you have to add up all the total of hours, which is 2.5 plus 3.75 plus 4.25 is 7. It's just 10.5 for the week. So now you have to multiply the total of hours by her rate, which is 22.50. And so that's 22.50 plus 11.25, or just 236.25. But now we have to find the average hours for the 3 days. So it's a 10.5, divide that by 3, and you get 3.5 hours a day average.
I couldn't do that.
So, Alexa, I assume that you work more than 3 days a week, right?
Oh, yeah.
Work on weekends?
No, thank God.
Just wanted to make sure that you don't have to Gary for the deaf people, you know. So my teacher said that I would use math every single day. So how do you use math with your work?
Well, I work in a call center. I don't know if you know what KPIs are.
No, I don't. For reference, I've been shaking my head the entire time for that. I have no idea.
So that's a performance metric, and we have to make sure that we're doing the job nonstop for at least 80% of our shift.
Oh.
Which is generous, honestly. At least I'm not having to work 100%, but with break time and everything, I'm constantly looking and doing like basic addition and subtraction to see like how many minutes do I have until I can go on break. So that's fortunately the only math.
As long as you don't do it like actually trying to do it like that, because that could be a sign for something. I don't know.
Calculator.
Well, thank you so much, Alexa, for your help with Math Corners.
No problem.
And now it's time for the Heart of a Lion. As you know, we talk about the qualities of living by the Heart of a Lion, which stands for leadership, integrity, obedience, and ability. This week, we're going to talk about leadership. For me, I think leadership is the act of loving what is good, having self-control, and being disciplined. The qualities of leadership are providing guidance and direction, organization, and being a positive influence on others. So, my friends and I were relaxing at the beach when, we noticed trash everywhere. Cans, bottles, even broken glass, which is never good, especially in this economy. But most people ignored it. I mean, we normally would just have done nothing, but Jamal started picking it up. No speech, no complaints. I mean, he just handed us bag and said, come on, let's not leave it like this. By the time we left, the beach looked brand new. I mean, base beach, borderline Hollywood. I mean, that's leadership, leading without just a title, just action. So, Alexa, do you have an example of leadership that you saw this week other than you being a leader as the interpreter?
I saw this week. I'm not sure if it would count as leader, but I did have a really tough call. I was like having to yell, and I had my coworker, she's right behind me, and right after the call ended, she like ran over, knocked on my door, and just opened it and said away for a second, are you okay? And I sat there and I was like, you know what, like, I'm not okay. And she didn't have to do that, but she did that.
So, Alexa, of all of the Heart of a Lion virtues, which is the one that you see the most?
That I see the most? I would say leadership. I have a lot of strong people that I respect in my life, and they inspire me to keep going every day.
Well, we should always try to be lion strong in everything we do, shouldn't we?
Yes.
And that's our show, folks. I want to thank the one, the only, the amazing Alexa Triska for being on my show. It has been so much fun talking to you today. I think we learned a lot about your work as an American Sign Language interpreter.
Bye.
Okay, well, also you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at The Tiberius Show, and I would like to thank WWPR 1490 AM, KIT98, Soul Radio 24/7, ECUA TV, and all the other stations that air on my show. And please do visit The Tiberius Show on YouTube and hit that subscribe button. Alexa, are you subscribed yet?
I am.
And remember, communication comes in many forms, and learning something new can open up a whole new world. Swansfirth says, very interesting job, and Supernova PLO says, slay. So be sure to leave a comment on my videos, and I might even mention yours at the end of the show. Also, be sure to listen to us next on The Tiberius Show with your host, Tiberius Boy. That's a wrap.